Hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of my Halloween DIYs. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to a special episode which we are doing a collaboration with Indiana Jones, and it is a Beetlejuice inspired collaboration. This is going to be a really fun little project. I put together something special just for this collaboration. Make sure you go check out the playlist of all of the other people involved in the Beetlejuice collab. I think this is going to be a really good one. All right, so before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, subscribe, turn on that little notifications bell, and make sure it is set to all so you receive all of our notifications. All right, so let's get started with this project. All right, so I wanted to create something a little bit different, a little bit fun. So I put together this digital. We're going to be doing some Beetlejuice specimen cards. I thought this would be kind of a fun, kitschy idea that would look great in a journal. You could decorate these and hang them up, or even frame them for Halloween decor. They're just a really fun kind of idea. So I created this digital. This digital will be available to my Patreon members. It includes the specimen cards, it includes all kinds of little tags, and it also includes 3 little Beetlejuice inspired specimens that are going to go into the card. So I printed this out, and I already cut it with my Cricut cutter. So it definitely helps if you have a Cricut cutter. However, you can fussy cut these. There are just some parts that are very kind of intricate on the little Beetlejuice figures here. So it definitely helped to use my Cricut cutter. I get the question all the time about uploading images from my digital files to my Cricut cutter to use. I do plan on doing a how-to tutorial on that at some point. It's going to be kind of a very in-depth video, so I do have to have a lot of time set aside to do that, but just be on the lookout that I will be doing that in the future. I also might do a live for my Patreon as well for that. So as you can see, I just have all of my little cutouts here on my cutting mat. I actually designed these cutouts, these specimen cards, so that way I actually had some items on the inside. So when you open them or when you pull them off, you've got your sample cutout just like this, and then there's extra stuff on the inside of the cutouts that you can go ahead and use in the design. So I'm just going to pull everything off of my mat, and then we'll start putting this together. I also want to mention that I printed this on a cardstock so that it gives it a little bit of weight. I think a cardstock is definitely what you would want to use. I am going to be doubling up the actual specimen cards on other paper as well to make them even a little bit more thick, but definitely use a cardstock when you're printing these, even if you are fussy cutting. All right, so for this project, I am using my new little fun tool I bought here. It is a laminating machine. I got it on Amazon Basics. It was very inexpensive. I'm gonna link this in the description of this video, because if you do any type of crafting or are a teacher or anything like that in general, even decorating, this is a great thing to have because I have used it so much already and I just bought it. I'm going to be laminating my little specimen figures here with a laminating sheet, and these are what is going to be going into my little specimen cards. Now, if you don't have a laminator, that's okay. You can still buy the pre-stuck laminating sheets, which I actually used to use these before I got my little laminating machine, and now I just love this thing. So you can just use the pre-sticky laminating paper as well for this project. Or you can just use some plastic from a clear plastic packaging, and you can glue your little specimens onto the clear plastic. Now, I have these laminating sheets. I'm just going to show you how this works because this is very easy, and like I said, I've used this so much already. I'm going to start at the top up here. Now, I want to have a good amount of space around each one of my little figures here because I want to be able to cut it out big enough so that it will fit into my little specimen sample cards. So what I'm going to do is I have designed these little figures so that they're replicas. So you've got the front and the back of each little figure. If you just flip them together, you can have the front and the back, so you'll be able to see on both sides. One side won't be blank. So I am just going to glue these together really quickly with a little bit of my Fabrifix. And I always link my Fabrifix in the description of my videos. I love Fabrifix. This is like my favorite crafting glue. It does have a little bit of a smell, but not as much as the Fabri-Tac. So it's almost like a little bit of a fingernail polish remover type of smell, like an acetone type of smell. Okay, so I am just going to stick those images together. We'll do all three. I only have 2 specimen cards. You can print out doubles so that you have more, or you can take one of the specimen cards and trace it on another type of paper and just make another one. Whatever. The one page I could only fit 2 specimen cards on. But what I've gone ahead and done is I've warmed up. Let me move this out of the way for a minute. I'm warming up my machine until the green light turns on. So it is on now, so that means it's ready to laminate. Like I said, this is a very inexpensive machine. I think it was like $25. Very inexpensive, and I have used it probably a dozen times since I've had it, and I literally have had it like a week and a half. I use it for so much. So again, just gluing all of these little samples of Beetlejuice characters together. We have Beetlejuice as an actual beetle carrying a bag. We have the little sandworms, and then we have the shrunken head man from the movie Beetlejuice. All right, so there's that one. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, because you know me, and you know, if you've watched any of my crafting videos, you know whenever I do like crafts that involve paper, I don't like to have the white edges. So I also like to distress all of my edges. I'm using my ground espresso archival ink, and I'm just gonna distress these edges of these little die cut figures up with my little distress sponge here. See all those like white edges? I just want to get rid of those white edges. And like I said, there's a lot of very kind of fine cuts with this die cut that I did. So that's why if you have a Cricut and you can cut it out on your Cricut, it definitely helps with all those little fine cuts. But if you don't and you like fussy cutting, I know a lot of people actually like fussy cutting. This is a good project if you like fussy cutting. Now these laminating sheets come, if I can get it open, I have glue on my fingers. These laminating sheets are like a 2-ply sheet. You will see they do open up here. They kind of stick together with static, but they open up like this. So I'm gonna start at the top up here, and I'm just gonna place my little Beetlejuice guy right about there. So we'll put another guy right about there, and then we will, all my other tags are sticking to it. I don't really have a whole lot of room here. All right, just make sure that it is down, the image is down enough so that way when you actually do your laminating, that you have enough space on top, because like I said, I want to cut a big enough space to take up this square in the center of our specimen card. All right, then we're just going to slide this through. So as you can see, it is laminating. So there is our top section right there with our 2 little figures, front and back. And then we'll put our last little figure on the bottom and run it back through. Okay, so now we have our images all laminated. All right, so I am gonna go ahead and use the Beetlejuice on the bug body and the little shrunken head for my example, for these two, I'm going to set the other one aside for right now. I have the 2 different size specimen sample covers, and I also have a double-sided piece of, this is like a dark charcoal color on one side and a taupe color on the other side. Okay, so what I did was I cut out another duplicate of my tag that I have here. I shouldn't have glued this in right away. What I should have done is made the template and traced the template of the original tag from the printout onto my other paper that I want to use, and then glued my little specimen card inside it, and then glued it all together. So I finagled a new piece, which I think is going to work out okay. Let me just see. Yeah, it looks like it's still going to be fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this to my, glue this backing to my card. So I'll put some more glue down the sides, along the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to use this craft paper side and just glue that right on top, just like this. Now, if we have to trim it a little bit, we can, but what's nice about this paper is it is dark on the other side, so if you see a little bit of it on the other side, it still looks okay. You still got the craft on one side and the black on the other. I don't know where I got that paper. So now we have our specimen card, and I'm gonna try to just make sure that there's no glue on the actual window itself. You can take a little bit of rubbing alcohol if you need to, just to get off the little bits of glue on the window if there is any. All right, so for the second portion of this video, I am going to be doing a voiceover because my battery decided to die and I had no vocal. So I finished the first tag without realizing it. So there it is right there. There's the first tag, but we're going to be working on the second tag. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did with the first on the second. And this is just some of the ephemera tags and pieces that I have left over from the kit that I didn't use on the largest tag. There should be plenty of tags for all 3 images. I made sure to make enough tags, different tags and stuff for all 3, so that you can do all 3. So in addition to the tags, obviously there's the specimen cards. Here is the shrunken head and the worm, the sandworm. So both of them are ready to go. I'm going to do both of them in a small specimen tag like this. I'm just going to trace the small specimen tag so I have an extra specimen tag that I can use. You could print out duplicates. You could print out 2 pages. I just could only fit 2 tags on 1 page when I was making the design. Then I'm again going to use the double-sided paper that I used for the large one. As you can see, I really like this paper. I don't know where I got it from though. I also have some striped ribbon, and it's very wide, so I was able to cut that in half and you just use small pieces. And I also got rickrack, but I didn't end up using the rickrack, so you don't need the rickrack if you wanted to duplicate this. Corner puncher if you want to round your corners, and also distress ink, and I'm using archival ground espresso for this. And in addition, I already showed this, the Fabrifix glue to put it all together with. So basically what I'm doing is I am going to distress my tag before I start gluing things together. I don't know if I showed this on the previous tag that I was working on, but it's definitely easier to distress your tags before you start gluing them together. So I'm just going around all of the edges, anything that has like a white cut line, I'm just distressing with my ink. And it definitely helps to do it ahead of time, especially when you're working on that inside window portion, that little circular portion. It's easier to do it when there's not a window in there. So distress all your stuff ahead of time. All right, so now that I have my tag all distressed, I'm going to trace this tag onto that other paper that I have, that double-sided paper. And basically just going to take a pencil, I'm going to trace this all out, and then I'm going to cut it out. Super simple. So once you have your traced portion all cut out. Now you can go ahead and glue in your window. So what I do is I basically will just take my glue and I will glue this entire piece of laminate, plastic laminate, right to the front portion of my specimen card, and I'm just doing that with my Fabrifix. I'm just making sure I go all the way around the edges so that way the glue touches the edges. The one thing is you don't want to go with the glue too close to the inside of that circular window because you don't want the glue to kind of spew out on the window. So I leave myself about 1/4 of an inch so that way that glue isn't coming out into the window and then making a mess on your actual specimen. So then you're gonna just take the cover and place it right on top of your image so that your image is centered, and just make sure you push that down nicely into your laminating sheet. And then you're going to go ahead and trim off that laminating sheet so that it is flush with your specimen card. So I'm just making sure that everything is sitting tightly before I go ahead and start cutting. Sometimes the glue can be a little bit wet still and it will move around, so you just want to make sure it's set before you really start cutting. So now once you have your laminate sheet all trimmed down, your backing should fit fine to cover up that laminate, just like that. So again, we're going to just take our Fabrifix glue and right on top of that laminate piece, we're going to do the same thing. Align the edges with the glue. Be careful not to go too close to that window so the glue doesn't spew out in that window. And then once you get enough glue on, that's why I love this Fabrifix glue, it's so versatile. Once you get enough glue on it, then you're just going to place it down into your backing sheet or the piece of cardstock that you traced out to use as your backing sheet. We'll just place this right down on top and make sure that window is lined up in the center. Now remember, you can always trim the edges if you need to of the card, so just make sure the center of the window is what's lined up, because that is what you want to be the clearest. So I'm just going ahead and pushing these edges and sides down just so that this piece sticks really nicely, and then we can continue on. So I am also using some stamps to kind of distress up this paper and give it like kind of a more authentic, worn, old look, like it was actually an old specimen card that they jotted notes down on and made look like it was, you know, authentic. I got most of these stamps off of Temu. You can get some from Amazon as well. I have a good collection of like just kind of stationery-esque or vintage writing or tickets or tags. I have a lot of stamps like that. So this one I think it's like a date stamp. I'm just putting this at the bottom of my tag, as you can see here. Again, it's just going to give it kind of more of an authentic look. I love using stamps when I am doing any type of crafting that I want my item to look vintage and old. So I'll just let you watch as I go ahead and stamp up the rest of this card. So now I'm going to use this striped ribbon. It comes in a wider roll, but I'm going to cut it down so that it fits the size a little bit better. I actually was able to get about 3 strips out of one little piece, which is really good. And I also used my pinking shears to make a nice little edge on the top and bottom. And I'm just going to use my glue to just glue this down. You could staple it as well, but the glue just works easiest for me. So next I'm going to use my rubber stamps, and as you can see I stamped beetle on the larger one, and I'm going to stamp head on this one because it is a sample of a head. So these little stamps are, I use these a lot actually, these little letter stamps. I think I found them at the Goodwill bins, but just another cute little addition to the decor on these little pieces. Okay, time to add some of the little ephemera tags. I think I'm going to use this one for the top, that I'm going to hang off a little safety pin on the ribbon. So we're going to just distress this one up. I actually need to cut off a little bit of that white that still shows through. It didn't cut well in my Cricut, so I just want to trim this one down just to get that white off the edge. I could distress it and just remove it, but I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do with this one is I am going to punch a hole in it and put a little rivet, just to make it a little bit dressier, as well as distressing up both the edges and the back. I don't want any of that white paper showing on the back of this ticket. I like all of my tickets to look kind of old and grungy. So that's what I'm doing here. So now I am distressing up some of the little tinier pieces of ephemera, the little tickets or the little numbers. I'm going to use these to kind of decorate more of the card itself. I thought this little 19 would look cute just kind of down on the front of the card, so I'm just going to glue that in place. I have a little extra glue here on my pin topper, so we'll just use a little bit of that glue, and I try to use up what I can. And so that one's just going to go just down here, kind of just haphazardly on the front. And then I have another little ticket here that I'm going to distress up. This is just another little small piece of ephemera. It doesn't really say anything, I don't think, but it looked cool. So I thought this one would look kind of cute, kind of on the top left-hand corner, I'm thinking, of this card. So I'm just going to just use my Fabrifix to glue this one on. And like I said, I just try to make this look vintage and almost like authentic, like, you know, people have put stickers and tags on it as they've been looking at it or utilizing it. But I tried to supply as many tickets and tags as I could in this little kit. I'm actually going to put this one on the back of my little hang tag. I thought that would be cute just to kind of take up some of that space instead of like doing a stamp or something. You could stamp any white areas or white pieces of paper. I will just fill in the back with this, as you will see here in just a second. So I finished up my third and final little Beetlejuice specimen card. These are super cute. They would be great in Halloween themed journal, but I'm actually using them for some decoration on my buffet table with my other DIYs that I've done, like this two-tiered bundt cake stand. I think the little Beetlejuice or the little worm card looks really cute in there. I also have, here's the little head, and I kind of just stuck him in a little candle holder that the candle's all burnt out, but thought he was kind of cute. And then here is Beetlejuice himself. I don't know if I'm going to keep him here. I might move him around a little bit, but just thought I'd show you how I'm kind of just sticking them in some of my decorating for Halloween. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notifications bell, and make sure it is set to all so you receive all of my notifications. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and stick around because I have a whole new series of DIYs coming up in September. We'll see you guys very soon. Take care.